say I'm not as animated, right? Because what I do every day is stand up here and stuff. And so when my cousin who works here said, can you come present? I'm like, why would anybody want me to present on me teaching science? Because a lot of people are like, never think about going to science as a teaching career. But the thing is that I do have the degrees that other people have. I have a degree in biology. People don't call me Mrs. Campbell-Blumhagen. I'm referred to as Mrs. CB or CB. So when people say Kristen or Mrs. Campbell-Blumhagen, I'm like, don't know where that person is. Work in teaching Ankeny, here's where my passion lies. Is when I was a kid, Bill Nye was big time. He was actually on TV. I didn't have to go to YouTube to watch Bill Nye. Doctor Who, I was probably the only kid in high school who would stay up late on Friday nights to watch Doctor Who, and then I'd come to school on Monday and be like, who's that? I also had a chemistry kit when I was a kid, and I thought that was so cool. I thought it was so cool that I didn't want to try it out because I didn't want to waste up all the chemicals. Like, if I waste the chemicals, then I don't have any cool chemistry things to do anymore. So the chemistry kit was awesome. The other thing that fueled my passion for science is being outside. When I was a kid, my mom made me go to YMCA day camp. That was outside all the time. I went hiking a lot. I begged to be outside. Also in high school, I worked at Mantigua Boy Scout camp, and I was outside. I'd walk anywhere up to 5 to 6 miles a day just to be outside. In high school, this is what fueled my passion. I liked projects. Kids thought I was weird, but I liked projects. I built toothpick bridges, egg drops, hovercrafts, stuff like that. People accused me of cheating because my mom's a science teacher as well. I didn't want to be a teacher. I planned on being a dermatologist because I visited a dermatologist every 2 weeks when I was in high school because my acne was so bad. So every 2 weeks I went to a dermatologist and I was planning to be a dermatologist. Up until I get to Northwest Missouri State. I went to Indian Hills for 2 years because I had a full ride. I could live at home. It was free. Then I went to Northwest Missouri State, met my organic chem professor who said women don't belong in science. I was a little bit stubborn back then. I'm like, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I was very proud of myself because I got an A in organic chem, but I also realized I was getting tired of staying up all night to study it. But the great thing that I learned here is that I was having tutoring sessions without realizing it. And so many of my friends were like, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? And I'm like, okay. So that's where I started thinking, maybe I should go into teaching instead of going into organic chemistry and biology. With staying in science, I got to go to Lakeside Labs, and I got to do a lot of field work. One of my favorite things up there at Lakeside Labs was becoming into botany and stuff. Also, with going into teaching, I had the experience doing my student teaching in New Zealand, which let me be outdoors with kids. They actually do week camps with their students. They take them up to the mountains, they teach them about the nature, how to respect nature, how to be conservationists. After college, I taught for 2 years and then I moved to the Des Moines area and I couldn't find a job for teaching science. I ended up here, which here taught me a great deal of how to present, how to do more hands-on stuff with my students so that I wasn't lecturing all the time because I'm like, this is not fun to lecture the entire time. So Science Center really taught me how to incorporate those fun ideas. Why do I teach science? I love science. I'm a science geek. It came easy to me, but at the same time, it was a challenge. It wasn't just a challenge to understand the content, but it's a challenge to make a relationship with those kids every day. Okay? The other reason, it's in my blood. My grandfather, first generation to go to college, taught science. He taught science for over 30 years, and so he's one of my inspirations as to being a science teacher. He's also, like I said, the first one to go to college. My mom is a retired science teacher too, and I think that's where I probably sparked because every day after school, my high school or my school was small enough to where I could run into my mom's high school classroom. And so I was allowed to get into the chemical room which I probably shouldn't have. But I was allowed to get into the chemical room and do what I wanted as long as I had an okay. And feed the fish, of course, for her. The pros of being a teacher, I love working with people. I like to talk a lot, maybe not as much as my coworker does who's here. I like to think I'm making a difference with kids. Science is fun. I like the networking with people and stuff like that. Why junior high? Mean girls. Nobody has a great experience sometimes in junior high, and it's hard to get girls interested in science. I think if you can reach them in junior high, then you have a better chance of them liking science later on in life. These are my students. We like to do lots of projects, but also with that, relating it to the science aspect of it, but also giving them a taste of what it's like to be a scientist. They have the reports they have to present. They have to relate their findings to what they really do. What has science led me to be? As a teacher, I love to read just as much as my students. I'm constantly talking to them. I'm right now on Divergent, actually Allegiant, that's the third book in the series. So I read along with them. I want to show them that reading's good and stuff like that. In my spare time, I'm a big PBS watcher, and then I do science at our vacation Bible school. So